It's Zena. Welcome back to me talking about whatever I want. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 4 horror remakes. So the first one I'd like to discuss, it is going to be The Crazies from 2010. So this movie is based off of George A. Romero's cult classic from 1973 with the same title. I feel like this 2010 version, the remake, it is the perfect example of a remake that actually lives up to the original from 1973. The basic plot of The Crazies is that the townspeople of a small farming town in Iowa, they begin to act in a murderous way. There's this virus that's pretty much taken over the town. And the people who are infected at first, they don't really seem like they're harmful towards anyone. They just seem kind of like spaced out, or they'll repeatedly keep on doing the same thing. Again, they don't really seem harmless. It's just kind of like, ill. What are you doing? But then as the virus begins to spread and more people get infected, those people, they go on this like bloody binge where they're like killing people. And then things get more intense when the US government, they get involved, and you actually think that they're going to help, but then turns out they just make it worse because they have their own like sinister plan going on. And this is like even after where it's like they try to like quarantine the town, and yeah, that didn't work out. So the reason why I love this 2010 version is because I feel like this movie just does not rely on CGI special effects or like buckets and buckets and buckets of blood. I feel like it gets to you psychologically, and then on top of that, there's plenty of tension and plenty of suspense. You really connect with the characters and you want certain characters to win. Even when it comes to the cinematography, I feel like that's completely well done. I love how it is filmed. They're able to capture like the creepiness of it, and honestly overall I feel like it's just scarier than the original one. Also, I feel like a lot of directors in 2010, it was like they were really trying to go back to the 70s and 80s type of horror movies where again they're just not relying on those special effects. So the next one is Maniac from 2012. The original one is based in 1980. The original Maniac is a cult classic, and on top of that, it actually showcases the legendary Tom Savini's special effects. In fact, he's even in the movie. He makes an appearance. He's basically this guy in the backseat of a car with his lady friend, and they're about to get their groove on. But then something happens to his head, and I'll leave it at that. It is loud, it is insane, it is explosive, it is bloody. It's really brutal, and it is awesome, okay? So the 2012 version, it is about a serial killer who removes his victims' scalps and then attaches them to these vintage mannequins that he restores in this shop that his mom used to own. So when it comes to this 2012 version, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, as I am always. I feel like it is a super stylish movie. It's very ambitious, and on top of that, it is brutal. I really do feel like the highlight of this film is Elijah Wood. He plays the serial killer, aka Frank Zito. That's actually the character that Joe Spinell portrayed, and I feel like Elijah, I'm gonna call him Elijah because in my mind we're friends, so we're on a first name basis. Elijah really did a freaking awesome job. I feel like he was able to capture Joe Spinell's disturbing facial expressions perfectly. Although I can't say that the remake is better than the original, I can say that they really did do an awesome job. It's one of those movies that really captures your attention and wants you to watch it more. Moving right along, the next one we're going to be talking about is Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. So the original 1956 movie, it is actually based off of a science fiction novel from 1954 written by Jack Finley called The Body Snatchers. So for those of you who do not know that, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it was actually made 3 times. So the first one came out in 1956, the second one came out in 1978, and the third one under a different title called The Body Snatchers was released in 1993. So just quickly, just the synopsis for you guys. So a mysterious pod begins to grow and invade a small town, replicating the residents one by one. I really love the title Body Snatchers that they used in the 1993 version. But when it comes to my absolute favorite, it's not that I don't appreciate Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956, because I do, but I really just dig the Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. So the reason why I love that movie is because I feel like there's never a dull moment. And on top of that, when it comes to the characters, you know, they don't do silly things that end their life completely. They actually do realistic things. And I love the fact that with this movie that it seems more realistic. You know, it's not like they're trying to run out the door or they trip. And on top of that, another thing that I really love is how the camera lingers on different things. It just adds like a creepy tone to it. I also love the crumbling or like the exploding of the pod person's head, and then the red color that comes afterwards. It's just like, whoa, what is that? And on top of that, how could I ever deny the awesome mustache of Donald Sutherland? All right, guys, so we made it to the last one. And I saved this one for last because I really need you to hear me out on this one, okay? If we were on the phone, I wouldn't want you to hang up. So while you're watching this video, please just hear me out. So the last movie we're going to be talking about is Black Christmas from 2006, aka Black Xmas. This movie is based off of the 1974 Black Christmas, and there was a Black Christmas that just came out last year, 2019. The reason why I really dig this movie is because a best way I can describe it, it's fun. It's the type of movie that knows that it's silly and it basically plays off of being silly. It's a genuine slasher that has these bloody, gory, over-the-top kills that I just cannot get enough of. I feel like the reason why a lot of people hate this 2006 version is because it has a completely different tone from the 1974 version. In this movie, the girls, they are terrorized by a killer, but instead of it being like this random psychotic person, you know, it's actually Billy, and Billy has like a whole backstory. He was doomed since the day he was born. Because he was born with a disease, it made his skin yellow, and his mom just hated him. But he has an amazing relationship with his dad, but the mom decides to murder the dad, and Billy sees, and yeah, that pretty much creates a killer. So I know this movie is not a masterpiece at all, but as I said to you earlier, it does have a completely different tone from the original one. There's never a dull moment. I feel like this movie, it does have like the gore, it has the suspense, it even has the drama. There's always something going on with those girls in that house. There's some humor in it. If you're someone who really enjoys like gore, this is going to be the one for you because there's plenty of that in this movie. I recommend going in, separating it from the original one. Alright guys, so that's my top 4 horror remakes. I'm interested in knowing some of your favorite horror remakes. Feel free to comment that below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Buckets and buckets and buckets. Buckets of blood.